Hello everyone and welcome to this four-part series on veterinary oncology for Cancer Awareness Month. I'm Nupur Desai. I'm a veterinary oncologist practicing out of Mumbai, India. So as there'll be a lot of students listening in, we are going to start right from basics. Today we'll talk about why cancer awareness is important, then move on to some common clinical signs which may give you a clue this could be cancer, and then eventually talk about some easy diagnostic tests that can be done to rule in or rule out cancer. So the reason why cancer awareness is very important is because 45% of dogs over the age of 10 will lose their lives to cancer. 25% of dogs who will lose their life to cancer irrespective of age. So essentially 1 in 4 dogs and 1 in 5 cats will be diagnosed with cancer at some point in their life. The other reason also is if you talk to the pet parent, a diagnosis of cancer is just gives everyone a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of, I would say, misinformation about cancer. So as vet students, if you want to get into clinical practice, even as a general practitioner, there's just no getting away from this disease. It's important for us to also know that not all cancer is bad. There's certain tumor types where with surgery we can also cure them, or unfortunately if the prognosis is poor, we can make the quality of life pretty good. So it's very important for us to have basic information about veterinary oncology. Then moving on to the clinical signs. So basically none of these signs are very specific unless there's of course a big mass where it's growing rapidly and so on and so forth. But a lot of clinical signs are non-specific, where you may have a lot of differentials for those clinical signs as well. But cancer can be on one of your differentials as well. So before getting into that, I can't stress enough the importance of a good physical examination. A physical examination is going to tell you a lot about about your differentials. It's going to reduce some of your differentials for you. So a good physical exam is very important. As a vet student, I had a checklist of systems in place, and I would go over that checklist till it kind of became second nature for me. One thing I would like to add about a physical exam is please don't ever not do a rectal. So end your physical exam by doing a rectal examination on dogs. Of course, it's a little difficult in cats, but in dogs, because anal sac tumors are actually diagnosed on a rectal exam, and it's a very easy tumor type to treat with surgery, and they do really well. The most common clinical sign that a dog will come into your clinic for is a lump or a bump. So you'll get a dog in saying, oh, this has been present for a long time, or this has been suddenly growing. So it's a very easy test that you can do to rule in or rule out cancer. Yes, it could be an abscess, it could be a trauma, it could be a non-cancerous growth, but the first thing you would want to do is to do a fine needle aspirate. We'll talk about that test in a little bit, but if a dog or a cat comes in with a mass, with a lump or a bump, please don't not get it tested. Please don't say, oh, we'll see what happens in a month's time and then figure out what we want to do. A fine needle aspirate is the first step that you would want to do to get to a diagnosis. The other, I would say, common clinical sign would be, so let's talk about lymphoma, which is a common tumor type. So if a middle-aged to an older dog, usually of a breed of boxers, golden retrievers, Great Danes, comes in, Labradors, comes in with big lymph nodes. Now, in this picture, you can see there are 5 major lymph nodes which are easily palpable on a physical examination. So one would be a mandibular, the second one would be the prescapular, third would be the axillary, fourth would be, it's near the groin area called inguinal lymph nodes, and fifth would be a popliteal lymph node. So as part of my physical exam, I always feel these lymph nodes. So these lymph nodes would basically, if a dog comes in with enlarged lymph nodes, lymphoma has to be on your top differential list. Yes, it could be enlarged because of, say, tick fever, which is very common in India, or some other tick-borne infestation or an infection. But if it's a peripheral lymph node, if there are multiple peripheral lymph nodes involved, it's probably lymphoma. Again, a fine needle aspirate is going to give you an answer. So in this picture, you're basically seeing a dog whose lymph nodes you can see from really far away. Those are some real huge lymph nodes. He came in with this. We did a fine needle aspirate and diagnosed it as lymphoma, and he's undergoing treatment now. The other common clinical sign would be limping. So if a dog comes in with a limp, do a proper physical exam, localize where the limp is coming from, which limb is it, right? And after that, yes, it could be arthritis, but get a radiograph done. In this picture, what you're seeing basically, this is a radiograph of the humerus. This dog came in limping. We did a proper physical exam and localized it to the front leg. And on the radiograph, what you're basically seeing is a lytic proliferative lesion. And on diagnostic, it did come back as an osteosarcoma. So again, limping, get an X-ray done after localization. The next, I would say, tumor type, which is very common in dogs and in cats, is oral tumors. So some clinical signs for oral tumors is halitosis, so foul smell coming from the mouth, reluctance to eat, bleeding, hiding in cats. So you know, some of these are the common clinical signs. Yes, it might be dental disease, but it could be tumor. So the next thing that you're going to do with these signs is oral examination. This dog came in to us with all the mentioned above clinical signs and also epistaxis. He was a nice lab, so I could just open the mouth, and then in this picture you can see that there is a mass on the hard palate. It's pointed by the orange arrow. So there's a mass on the hard palate, and there's also oral nasal fistula. So he also had epistaxis as part of his history. We sedated him and took a sample of that, and he was diagnosed with an oral squamous cell carcinoma. So any oral signs, you definitely want to do a sedated oral exam if the dog or the cat is not going to let you do it awake. In your sedated oral exam, always look under the tongue, especially in a cat. Look at, all around, look at the tonsils as well, the gums, the teeth, see if there's any irregular tissue. Sometimes these also present while doing a dental examination, just some irregular tissue. If you have a sedated patient on the table with an irregular tissue, there's no reason not to take a biopsy. So always take some sample, especially for oral tumors, biopsy is recommended. Then I would say the other common clinical sign, especially in cats, is weight loss or diarrhea, chronic vomiting. And some of these things, especially in middle-aged to older cats, could lead to lymphoma. So I would recommend getting an abdominal sonography done to figure out what's going on, especially in chronic cases. Then the other common clinical sign would be, in a middle-aged to an older dog coming in with bloating of stomach and or history of waxing and waning, especially in breeds like, again, golden retrievers, German shepherds, Labradors. There's a common tumor type called hemangiosarcoma. So if the dog comes in suddenly with a collapse or a huge abdomen, it could be something else, but it's very easy to put an ultrasound probe on the belly and see what you're dealing with, because splenic tumors can potentially be an emergency situation where the dog might be bleeding into the abdomen and you're going to need emergency blood transfusion and a splenectomy. The other, I would say, clinical sign would probably be epistaxis, so bleeding from the nose, or chronic nasal infections. So you may get a dog with, he's having discharge from the nose and it kind of goes, waxes and wanes. He responds to antibiotics, but once you stop the antibiotics, the discharge is back again. In that case, always remember that this could be something like a foreign body or, just a chronic infection, but also nasal tumors. So if you're treating a dog with antibiotics, so on and so forth, multiple times, I think it's time to do further diagnostics like a CT scan. In this picture, this dog came in with this obvious bump in between the eyes, and on the CT scan, we did see a nasal tumor. So they did actually do quite well, by the way, with radiation therapy. I'm just trying to think what are the clinical signs. Yes, chronic coughing would be something to look out for, again, especially in older middle-aged dogs and cats. Very easily diagnosed on x-rays. So it could be something just like bronchitis, cardiac disease, or it could be a lung tumor. So, and it's an easy diagnosis on an x-ray. Blood in the urine or chronic urinary tract infections. Could be stones, could just be cystitis, could be bladder tumors. So just put your ultrasound probe and see what we're dealing with. So I would say these are some of the common clinical signs where, yes, it could be any of, a lot of different things, but please remember cancer as being one of your differentials for these common clinical signs. Then let's go on and talk about diagnostics.
A fine needle aspirate on a mass, the first thing you want to do is anchor the tumor itself, and then this is a method without any vacuum. So we anchor the mass, put in a needle in there, and go in different directions, go in and out. Once we remove the needle, we put it on the slide, make a smear of it. You also want at least 2 or 3 different samples from the same tumor. So again, I'm anchoring the mass. Now we'll do the vacuum method, where we put in a needle, go back and forth, and apply a little bit of vacuum to it. After that, you can again take that sample onto the needle, onto the slides.
Again, like I said, X-rays, abdominal ultrasounds, very good, easy diagnostic methods. Most clinics have it. But a fine needle aspirate is a real tool where it does not need general anesthesia, does not need sedation. In this video, what you're seeing is there are 2 ways you can do a fine needle aspirate. Basically, you're putting a 22 gauge needle in a mass and taking a sample of the mass and looking at it on the slides. So there are 2 methods of doing it. One would be without vacuum. So in this video, what you're seeing is I'm taking a sample with the help of a 22 gauge needle. First, I'm anchoring the tumor so that it doesn't move while I'm taking the sample. And once the sample is taken, it's kind of smeared onto the slide. The second method would be the vacuum method. There are certain tumor types like soft tissue sarcomas which do not exfoliate. What that means is you don't probably get too many cells when you're trying to get a sample. In that case, you can apply a 5 cc syringe onto the needle and give it some vacuum. So basically you're trying to pull some cells into the needle. Then before smearing it onto the slide, remove your syringe and then push it again onto the slide, just like you would for the non-vacuum method. So these are 2 very easy methods of getting a diagnosis. There's just really no reason not to do these easy tests. Then there are certain tumor types where you may not get a diagnostic sample by doing a fine needle aspirate. For example, oral tumors are associated with a lot of inflammation. So you may just get inflammation on your diagnosis. Or nasal tumors are again associated with a lot of inflammation. So in these cases, or certain skin tumors where you don't get a diagnostic sample, just because you don't get a diagnostic sample doesn't mean it's not cancer. So the next step would be to do a biopsy. There are 2 or 3 different common ways of doing a biopsy. In this picture, what you're seeing is a wedge biopsy, where we've made an incision on the skin and basically taking a chunk out of the tumor with the help of a blade and your thumb forceps. The other method would be with a punch biopsy, where the metallic punch is very sharp. So again, you make an incision on the skin, vertically put in the punch, and use your thumb forceps and scissors to get a sample of it. I can't stress enough, for cancer, always do an incisional biopsy. What that means is you're essentially just taking a small piece of the mass and not trying to remove the entire mass for diagnosis. So this is called an incisional biopsy. You don't want to do an excisional biopsy where you're removing the entire mass before a diagnosis. The reason why this is important is because whenever you're talking about cancer surgery, we always talk about margins, and we'll get into detail about that in the next talk. But it's very important basically not to remove the entire tumor without margins, because you're going to leave microscopic disease behind and there's just a really high chance of reoccurrence. The other method of getting a diagnosis is something called as a true cut biopsy, which again I won't really get into details of. So basically it's there's no reason not to do these simple tests. This is available in most clinics. X-rays, abdominal sonography, fine needle aspirate, and plus minus a biopsy are easy things that can be done. For tumors that are basically inside the body, so like a splenic mass or a liver mass that's diagnosed on an ultrasound, we can also do something called as an ultrasound guided FNAC, so an ultrasound guided fine needle aspirate. There are certain tumor types like nasal tumors which may need a CT scan, or in older dogs, if they come in for seizures and circling or other neurological signs, you may need an MRI to actually get a diagnosis. So basically, just in brief, what we talked about today was cancer is very, very common. So it's important as a clinician to know basics about cancer. And once you know the basics, you can refer once you have a diagnosis. Clinical signs that are non-specific can still be cancer. So always keep that as a differential at the back of your head. There's no reason not to do a fine needle aspirate if a dog walks in or a cat walks in with any lumps or bumps. If you don't get a diagnostic sample of your FNAC, it doesn't mean it's not cancer. It can still be cancer, so you may need a biopsy in that case to come to a diagnosis. So these would be some things to keep in mind for some clinical signs and how to get to a diagnosis. All right, thank you for listening in, and we'll see you next week where we are going to talk about certain tumor types as well as the treatment options for cancer in pets. All right, thank you.